All right, so let's dive into Marina Abramović.
Yeah.
You might know her as the grandmother of performance art.
Mm-hmm.
She's fascinating, but
Oh, yeah.
let's face it,
Yeah.
a little controversial.
For sure, controversial.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She's earned that title, though. And not just by being around for so long.
Right.
But, like, really pushing what art can be.
Yeah, pushing those boundaries.
Yeah, we're talking globally recognized
Huge.
exhibitions at MoMA at the Guggenheim.
Wow.
Even collaborations with Lady Gaga and Jay-Z.
It's a big deal.
Huge.
But,
Yeah.
you know, her work,
Yeah.
it's not what you think of as, like, easy viewing.
Right.
We're talking nudity, endurance,
Yeah.
pain, the threat of death.
Really heavy stuff.
Yeah, all these things that she uses.
Yeah.
So the question we're exploring today is what makes her art, especially these intense pieces, so captivating,
Yeah.
particularly to the elite.
It is a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think people who seemingly have it all
Right.
wouldn't be drawn to this vulnerability
Yeah.
and suffering. So we're going to have to consider what this says about their inner world and how Abramović's art taps into something deeper.
I like that.
Yeah.
So let's start with her philosophy.
Okay.
Her art is about liberation, like shaking up societal norms,
Yeah.
evoking strong emotions in both the artist and the viewer.
It's a powerful thing.
It is.
And she sees performance art as like the ultimate tool for this.
Interesting.
Because it makes the audience like a participant.
Oh, wow.
You know, they're not just observing.
Right.
It's an experience that unfolds in real time. And for Abramović, the more intense that experience, the more transformative the art.
So that explains the use of transgression.
Exactly.
It's about taking us out of our comfort zones, making us feel things we might not want to feel,
It's true.
and forcing us to confront our own vulnerabilities.
Yeah, like she's holding up a mirror to our deepest fears and desires.
Well, that's a good way to put it.
And by doing that, she's prompting us to question not only our own assumptions,
Right.
but the norms and expectations that shape our lives.
I see. Okay, so let's get into some specific examples.
Yeah, let's do it.
We have to talk about The Artist is Present.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that incredible performance at MoMA, where she sat silently for 736 hours,
It's wild.
engaging with whoever sat across from her.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the endurance?
I can't.
Not just for her, but the thousands who waited in line.
It's mind-boggling.
Really?
And what's so interesting is it created this profound connection
Really?
between Abramović and the audience
Interesting.
in that shared silence.
Yeah.
Something very real and human was happening.
Wow. Okay, so then we have Thomas Lips,
Okay.
which is on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Totally different.
Yeah, it's almost disturbing to read the script
Yeah.
with self-inflicted pain and actions she describes.
It's definitely challenging, and that's part of the point. She's pushing herself to the limit,
Yeah.
physically and emotionally.
It's intense.
And she's asking us to witness that.
Wow.
Like, this is what it means to be human
Right.
in all its messiness and complexity.
Okay, and then there's Rhythm Zero,
Right.
maybe her most controversial piece,
I think so.
where she put her life in the hands of the audience for 6 hours.
It's a scary thought.
They could do anything to her
Anything.
with these objects that were provided.
Yeah.
And the whole thing escalated from gentle interactions to potential violence.
Which reflects the anxieties we grapple with today,
Oh, tell me more.
especially around social media.
Okay, yeah.
The power dynamics between the individual and the crowd, the fear of losing control,
I see.
and that potential for both good and evil within us all.
Yeah, it's terrifying, but also incredibly relevant.
Oh, for sure.
The source material actually says one man pointed a loaded gun at her head.
Oh, wow.
She said it was the only performance where she truly felt ready to die.
That's intense.
Really speaks to the level of risk she embraces.
Right.
Her willingness to surrender control and face the unknown.
Yeah.
And that raw vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
it's both disturbing and captivating.
Absolutely.
And it's not just these three,
Right.
Rhythm 5, Rhythm 10, Balka Baroque,
Yeah.
all involved intense endurance and danger.
She keeps testing those limits.
It's like she's testing the limits of human experience,
Yeah.
both her own and ours.
And she's not alone.
Really.
Artists like Chris Birding,
Okay.
who had himself crucified on a Volkswagen,
Oh, wow.
and David Blaine with his endurance feats.
Yeah.
They're also exploring these extremes.
It's a trend.
There's a desire to push beyond what we consider acceptable or even possible.
So then here's the paradox.
Okay.
Why are these displays of suffering so appealing?
Right.
Especially to the elite.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd be the least interested,
Right.
the most insulated from hardship.
And that's what's so intriguing.
It is.
To understand this, we need to consider how we experience gratification.
Oh.
So think about it.
Yeah.
We each see the world through these internal constructs.
Okay.
Our own blend of beliefs and desires. And those constructs are constantly seeking validation.
Interesting.
Art, in a way, provides that validation.
Okay.
It feeds into our pre-existing ideas about the world.
So if someone finds gratification in watching Abramović endure this pain and suffering, what does that say about their internal world?
It suggests a certain emptiness.
Really?
The lack of fulfillment they're trying to fill.
Interesting.
And this is where we get into the idea that maybe the elite, despite their privilege, are grappling with their own suffering.
Right.
It might be a sense of meaninglessness, a fear of their own mortality, or a disconnect from the consequences of their actions.
So they're drawn to her art because it provides a cathartic release.
Right.
It allows them to confront their own darkness, their own fears, anxieties.
Through art.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Oh.
Because while that catharsis might provide temporary relief, it doesn't necessarily address the root cause.
Right.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a deeper wound.
So is Abramović's work letting the elite off the hook?
It's possible.
Is it allowing them to avoid the real work of confronting their own internal limitations and using their power and resources to make a difference?
Yeah, that's a big question.
It is, and it brings us to the heart of what we'll explore next time.
Okay.
This connection between her work and the concept of creative capacity.
All right, I like it.
Why is it that true creation brings lasting fulfillment while transgression often offers only fleeting relief?
Right.
And what does that tell us about the elite's relationship with their own creative potential?
Good stuff.
We were talking about how Abramović's art might offer that release for the elite,
Right.
but not necessarily a solution. So how does this creative capacity idea play into all of this? Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
Our capacity for creation, for like generating new ideas and solutions, it's limitless.
Really?
We can build, invent, write, compose, dream up things that have never existed before.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And inherently fulfilling. It's part of being human.
And you're contrasting that with transgression.
Right.
Which relies on existing norms to even make sense.
Exactly.
It's about pushing against those norms, breaking the rules, but it doesn't create anything new.
It's a reaction, not a creation.
Oh, I see.
And that's why the gratification it offers is fleeting.
Okay.
It's a shock to the system, a temporary disruption.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fundamentally change anything.
Right.
True creation, though, that brings a sense of lasting fulfillment. Because it's about bringing something new into the world. It's an affirmation of our human potential.
So are you suggesting that the elite, despite their power and resources, are failing to engage in this kind of meaningful creation?
It's a thought, isn't it?
It is.
Because if their creative capacity is lying dormant, that could explain why they're seeking fulfillment in these extreme transgressive experiences.
It's a provocative idea.
It is.
The source material actually draws a connection between the elite's attraction to Abramović's work and their inability to solve the world's problems.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're stuck in this adolescent phase of rebellion.
Right.
Testing boundaries instead of building something new and lasting.
Interesting.
But isn't it possible that their attraction to this art, by forcing them to confront their own darkness, could actually push them towards more meaningful engagement?
It's possible.
Maybe it's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
A catalyst for change.
It could be.
So maybe it's not about condemning them for their fascination with transgression.
Yeah.
But understanding what that fascination reveals about their unmet needs and encouraging them to channel their energy into more constructive pursuits.
I think that's a much more nuanced and productive approach. Instead of just labeling them intellectually sterile like the source material does, we can ask ourselves, what would it look like for the elite to truly embrace their creative potential and use their power and resources to make a positive impact?
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. Talk about this idea of transgression as a therapeutic device.
Okay.
The source material mentions externalization, which is projecting your inner turmoil onto external things or events.
It's a way of coping, and we all do it.
Really?
To some extent, think about it. You have a bad day at work.
Yeah.
You come home and snap at your partner.
Oh, yeah.
You're taking your inner frustration and projecting it outward.
So Abramović's performances, with their emphasis on pain and suffering, provide a very specific kind of externalization for the audience.
Exactly.
Like they're witnessing her endure those emotions for them.
And that can be incredibly cathartic, especially if you're struggling with similar feelings of anxiety, fear, despair.
Like you're not alone in this?
Right. Someone else understands what I'm going through.
And the source material draws a parallel between the responses of Abramović audiences and those of people engaging in self-destructive behaviors.
Interesting.
Both are seeking that release a temporary escape from their demons.
It's a fascinating comparison.
Yeah.
It suggests that maybe we're all searching for ways to cope with being human.
Right.
And sometimes those coping mechanisms are healthy. Yeah. And sometimes they can be harmful.
This makes me think about how Abramović's later work, which moved away from the pain and suffering, was met with a lot of criticism.
Interesting.
Maybe because it didn't offer that same externalization.
It's possible.
That her earlier pieces did.
Yeah, her audience might have become accustomed to that visceral experience, that sense of catharsis through suffering.
And when she shifted gears, they felt lost.
Yeah, even betrayed.
It's like they were saying, we came here to see you suffer, not to watch you find peace and happiness.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if there's something voyeuristic in our fascination with other people's pain.
That's a really interesting observation.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to that initial paradox.
Right.
Why are we as humans drawn to these displays of vulnerability and suffering?
Is it empathy?
Right.
Curiosity? A morbid fascination? Or something else entirely?
It's complex.
It is.
No easy answers.
But by exploring her work and the reactions it provokes, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the society we live in.
Absolutely.
So in the final part of our discussion, we'll try to tie all these threads together.
Yeah.
And leave you with some final thoughts.
I like it.
To ponder as you continue to explore art and its impact on our lives. So we've covered a lot of ground with Marina Abramović.
Yeah, we have.
Her provocative performances, her philosophy of art as liberation through transgression.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. And that complex relationship between her work and the psychology of her audience.
Right.
Especially the elite.
And this idea of creation or the lack of it is coming up.
It does. The source material says that the elite, for all their power and privilege, are failing to engage in meaningful creation.
Like, they're not solving the world's problems or leaving a truly lasting legacy.
Instead of building something new, they're stuck reacting and rebelling against existing structures.
And maybe that emptiness. That lack of fulfilling creation.
It's what's driving them towards Abramović.
It's a way to feel something. To experience intensity.
Even if it's through someone else's suffering.
Exactly.
So maybe her art is actually an escape for them.
An escape.
Yeah. It allows them to confront their own darkness in a safe, controlled environment without having to change anything about their life.
They're outsourcing their emotional labor to Abramović.
Interesting.
They get the catharsis without the hard work of growth and transformation.
Which brings us back to that question. Is Abramović's popularity a symptom of a larger societal problem?
Are we as a society so focused on tearing things down that we've lost sight of building something new and better?
Makes you think about how we engage with the world. Are we living up to our potential?
Are we creating things that matter?
Are we contributing to something bigger?
Or are we just going through the motions?
Seeking out distractions and quick fixes.
For that deeper emptiness.
Tough questions.
They are.
And I don't think they're easy answers.
But art, like Abramović's work, it has that power.
The power to
make us think critically.
About ourselves and the world.
Exactly.
It can challenge our assumptions and make us uncomfortable.
And that can lead to growth and change.
It's a wake-up call. Urging us to examine our motivations and choices.
Values.
And ask if we're living in alignment with them.
And maybe by confronting these truths, embracing our potential and using it to make an impact, we can shift the focus from transgression to creation.
Like a powerful thought to end on.
It is.
So as you go about your day,
yeah,
think about the things that inspire you, the things you want to create, the change you want to see in the world.
And then ask yourself, what can you do
right now
to bring those visions to life?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep creating.